What was the single toughest moment in your journey where most people would have stopped, and what pushed you to keep going?
The lowest moment in business, you're asking me?
Yeah, like, what's the single toughest moment that you had where you wanted to quit, but something just motivated you to keep going?
Well, I never had a moment where I wanted to quit because it's always been said that when the pain of change outweighs the pain of being the same, you will change. And so the pain of having a job was so severe to me, and I felt that it stripped me of my dignity, that having a job wasn't an option. Therefore, failure in business was an option. So it never got to the point where I even contemplated the idea of quitting. A couple of times I had rough patches that I had to jump a hurdle. Yeah. One was after me and my business partner split the business up, I was offered a job making twice what I was making in the business. I thought at the time, because my finances were down, I was rebooting a company, I really contemplated on taking that job because they told me I could keep my business running as well. And so they put my name in the hat for the job, and somehow they selected somebody else. When they told me I didn't get the job, I said, thank you, Jesus. I felt so relieved because I felt some pressure that I had a family to feed. And I thought I'd be less than a man not taking the job, even though I know God ordained me to do so much more in business. Yeah. So that was a relief. And after that, my income started growing by 50 to 60% per year.
Wow.
After I got debt, that was a sign, that was a confirmation that I'm supposed to be in business. Prior to that, as I write my book, me and my daddy had a kind of falling out because he wanted me to go back to school. And when you think about going back to school, why would you go back to school? So you can go get a good education, so you can get a good job, so you can make somebody else's dream come true and negate your own. So when we had a kind of a falling out, a difference in philosophy, it kind of hurt me because he made some statements indicating that he didn't have faith that I was going to make it in business. And so that really fueled the fire and it drove me to my first six figures. I often tell people, you should have said that 10 years prior to that, you know, and I should have added another zero too. Okay, so so those are my two defining moments in business. I had a slight bit of uncertainty on how I was going to get it done, but again, I couldn't go back to a job. I was psychologically unemployable, so I had no choice but to press forward and press through it.
And I want to mimic on something you just said for the viewers, because I don't want nobody saying, he said don't go to school. So when you said the college that you don't want to make nobody rich, I just want for those to understand that you're not saying you don't think college, you should go to school. If you want to choose a career where you have to go to school, you have to go to school. Of course, we know that. I know some people could have been like, why he say don't go to college?
No, I mean, I'm going to say it to you like this. My mentor says it this way: get as much education as you can stand. Mark Twain said, don't let your education get in the way of your learning. The way I once heard the mayor of Hattiesburg say that if you get the education system the way it's designed now, is not a true education. It's really more of a training ground to train you to work for somebody else's dream. A true education should empower you to pursue your own dream. Education is key. It's just the way the school systems are designed. They're not designed with educating you in the point to the point that it will help you empower yourself to realize your dreams and goals, but just giving you just enough education to give you the basic tools to go and work for somebody else's dream.
And then you know something I noticed too, not to cut you off, but I noticed, like, just doing a little research, there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that never even went to college.
Absolutely.
Or college dropouts like me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if certain things, like if you want to pursue the law, or you want to be a doctor, certain things
you have to
exactly.
I was just telling somebody this. Yep, I agree. Yep.
But a lot of the times, even in blue collar businesses, you may not need to go to college, but you may need to go to trade schools to get your skill up.
Exactly. Yep.
But the best trade school I found out was actually going to work for somebody.
Yeah.
Because they can teach you exactly how to apply the knowledge that you do have.
Like apprenticeship.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So, how has faith shaped the way you make decisions in business, especially when money and morals seem to conflict?
That's a great question. When I first got converted to Christianity, I was in the landscape business. In the landscape business, you deal with a lot of contract situations. A lot of the times, you're having to do a lot of political games to get favor, to get certain contracts.
Right.
And so I didn't like that, but I thought that's just the way we did business. After I converted to Christianity, I started studying the Word. I started reading things in Proverbs like, don't do business with a weighted scale. Meaning do all business straight and above reproach. When I got into network marketing, the foundational principles in that industry ran parallel with my Christian philosophy. I was able to be a Christian even in the secular sense because the philosophies ran parallel. That doesn't mean everybody in that industry is a Christian, but it's set up for Christian philosophies to do well. Once I came back to traditional businesses, I was able to tweak my traditional businesses to go along with my faith. And my faith was non-negotiable. So I could not divert from my faith. I had to convert my business to my faith. And I treat my employees as my neighbors. I hold them accountable, but I also take into consideration the human factor of that. I take into consideration all biblical principles as I lead people in business.
You know, that's something I noticed that a lot of business don't do.
Well, absolutely.
So I've been a part of the business. That's why I firsthand know a lot of them.
And another thing, I vowed when I first got converted that everything that God blessed me with, I was going to give him the credit and the glory for it. So I understood at that point that this business is not really mine. I'm just managing it for him. And he holds me accountable by the way I manage it. And if I believe that he's over all my sustenance and he has the last say so, then why wouldn't I follow his principles? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I have a business decision to make, I always go back to the foundational biblical principles that I believe in.
Okay. So what's the most expensive mistake that you ever made in a business, and what lesson do you want entrepreneurs that's listening to learn from it?
Man, how many? Let's start at $1 million mistakes, okay? I made a gazillion mistakes. But let's just look at a few $1 million mistakes I made. I think I mentioned in one podcast, I came up with an invention. It got shot down.
Made you feel crummy. I remember exactly you said that.
It's now still making hundreds of millions of dollars. And I drew it out 6 years later, somebody came with it.
So what is the invention?
It's a mini skid steer. I drew a mini skid steer out 6 years before they came out with it.
It wasn't out?
No. It wasn't even thought of. It wasn't even a concept. So there you go. That's $1 million. There's others too. I had an opportunity to be the first person to have those grinding machines in the industrial landscape where you grind all the vegetation.
Right.
I was
with the cutter head.
Well, no, the tub grinders, the big tub grinders.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
I had an opportunity to, and they were going to finance it. I didn't have to put any money up. I had an opportunity to have to be the first one in this area with one. $1 million opportunity.
But
yeah, I didn't see it. I only saw what I saw. Bible says people perish for lack of vision. I had no vision. I could only see as far as I could. I had great eyesight, but no vision. I could only see what I could see. Another one was my lawn equipment vendor came to me. You know those bathtub improvements where you put that coating on the bathtubs and coating on the bathrooms? I could have been the first one in Central Mississippi to have that system. I could have franchised the very first franchise that came to me and pleaded with me to open up the business.
No vision.
And they were going to sponsor me.
But
I thought I was a landscaper, so I couldn't see. I only could see what I could see. And so I didn't think about diversification. And so these mistakes I made, every one of those are $1 million mistakes. Okay? Yeah. So I'm definitely able to coach people on not making $1 million mistakes. I made several of them. And here's the thing. You only got to get one. You only got to get one right to be a millionaire.
And then you know what it sounded like to me? The root of all of it was lack of vision.
Lack of vision. Exactly. And the reason why it was lack of vision is because I have lack of mentorship. The mentor is supposed to see further than the mentee. So I had nobody looking ahead, looking at my business where it was, looking at where it could be.
Just was you.
And then filling in the gap. I had no mentor to do that for me. So I had to bump my head and fail forward. It took me 17 years to do things that you guys are doing in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Because I had nobody to pattern after. Because I was a pioneer in that industry.
Yeah. And, I remember you saying that's what made you want a mentor, because you went 17, 18 years, and you had to learn everything on your own.
Absolutely.
I remember you said that.
Now I got kids, I call little children making $100,000 just like minimum wage now, because we understand the model, we understand the systems, we understand all the ordained shortcuts.
Right.
You know, nothing, I'm not talking about a shortcut that you negate the
right.
work. Mm-hmm. We know all those things now. So we're getting all the fluff out the way, and we're getting to the nitty gritty on what it takes to get to your first six figures. And now we're popping out just like
yeah, without a doubt. Moving on, I want to discuss a little about the superpowers of entrepreneurship too. If you had to name one superpower that separates successful entrepreneurs from those who fail, what would it be?
One word is discipline.
Discipline.
That's what held me back for years. Discipline. See, you gotta think. I was a six-figure earner. I aspired to be a seven-figure earner. But I had a five-figure mentality. To get to six figures was a stretch on a five-figure mentality.
Right.
To get to seven figures was too big of a gap. So when I started thinking in eight figures, then six figures became minimum wage. It was the way I was thinking and applying discipline. Once I started to apply discipline, then when you apply discipline, then all the do's and don'ts start to make sense to you.
Right.
So all the things you have to do in order to position yourself starts to come to fruition, because now that you're disciplined, now what? I say my affirmations.
Right.
I watch the visualizations. I know how to fast because I'm disciplined. You follow what I'm saying? My associations are disciplined.
Watch or hear.
I watch what I watch on TV.
Right.
I watch what I listen to on the radio because I'm disciplined. My associations change. I'm in the right room
but
because
you
I'm
built
disciplined.
that discipline. It didn't happen overnight.
No, it did. Right. But what did happen overnight was my decision. Once the pain of staying the same outweighed the pain of change, then I changed.
Gotcha.
And so it didn't manifest overnight, but the decision was right away. I saw some results overnight, but it took a couple of years for the actual money to start showing up and manifesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay. I got a question for you. Tyler Perry disrupted Hollywood, right? Elon Musk disrupted entire industries. What's the area you feel entrepreneurs in our community can disrupt if they lean in right now?
I think we should be able to disrupt, and I don't want to really use that word disrupt because I don't have to disrupt anybody else. I don't want to indicate that I'm trying to be in competition with anybody else. I would rather say is that we can set a new precedence on what success looks like. I don't want to disrupt what's already there. What I want to do is succeed what's there. They can keep that platform that's there. The platform of mediocrity, the platform that promotes apathy. Those platforms can stay. What we want to do is elevate our people to another level. When I say our people, I mean people that buy into biblical principles and buy into biblical business. And so if you buy into those principles and you build your philosophies off those principles, then I believe that things like in the blue collar world, plumbing, electrical, landscaping, these things that AI can't replace, those are the things I think will build the foundation for us to make enough revenue. Those are not revenues that will easily grow to eight-figure revenues, but those are the revenues that will give us the seed money to make the investments to produce eight-figure revenues. And it's going to be consistent seed money because these type of businesses are more or less not, I guess, they're more recession-proof. No matter what the weather's doing, the grass is going to grow. You're going to have plumbing issues. I don't care what the economy says, you're going to have some plumbing issues. You're going to have some electrical issues. These businesses are staple businesses that can anchor young entrepreneurs that are just getting started, that can take some sweat equities and build businesses that can give them the revenue to invest in bigger businesses. Now they can tap into what I call the OPIs, other people's ideas.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And so now you tap into other people's money, other people's ideas, other people's energy.
Right.
Because now you have the resource to invest in those things. And so that's where we need to be. The best way to get rich and the fast way to get rich is investing. not working for it. So even if you develop a business, it takes a lot longer to earn the money to become whatever your wealth number is versus investing the money. You follow what I'm saying? So that's where I think we need to be.
What was the